Hello, everyone. Andy Fox here, and welcome to this edition of Inside the Investigation. Let's get right to it. This is a cold case. It comes from York Pocosin. The person who was killed, Mason Worthington. It happened back in late 2018 in York County. His roommate comes home and finds him shot to death, believed to be 2 bullets, maybe more. Our reporter at the time, Tamara Scott, was at the scene. Here's some background.
He's just a baby, basically. 20 years old. It's just sad.
Willie Stevens says he's lived on Wilkins Drive for more than 20 years, but says no matter how long you live somewhere, when you see yellow tape on your street, it's never a good feeling.
It's sad. It's everywhere. It used to be, you hear about it in the city, but now it's in every neighborhood, actually.
According to York County Sheriff Captain Thomas West, just after midnight, police received a call for a victim suffering from gunshot wounds. Upon arrival, they found 20-year-old William Worthington with at least 2 gunshot wounds. He was pronounced dead at the scene.
As of right now, we have some investigative leads, but the details are pretty scarce.
Investigators spent 17 hours on scene gathering evidence and conducting neighbor interviews. West said initially they received a shots fired call, which is pretty common for this area.
We have people that shoot in York County pretty regularly, so it's legal in many places in York, so it's not uncommon for shots to be fired.
Willie and his 17-year-old son, Josh, both support the right to have guns, but when a shooting hits so close to home, it leaves them with more questions than comfort.
I think guns should be used for protection, not for self-defense, not really for murder or anything like that.
Well, guns don't know ages, A gun take life for anybody. It's the person. It's the person that actually used the gun,
In York County, Tamara Scott, 10 on your side.
Well, the takeaway line from that, guns don't know ages. They don't know names. Joining me now is Lieutenant Donald Mickett, Patrol Lieutenant. And yes, he looks strikingly similar to the man who appeared in that report from Tamara Scott, Major Thomas West. Do people say you look alike?
Somewhat, yes, sir. Sometimes. Yes.
I saw it. I said, is that you? Is that you? Lieutenant, take us inside the investigation. What was going on when you showed up at Mason's home?
So deputies initially went out for what started as a shots fired call, and then turned into a second call that came in from 1095 Wilkins in reference to a shooting that actually occurred there at the residence. When investigators arrived, there was a plethora of evidence. We spent most of the evening collecting evidence and doing interviews of both the 2 gentlemen that were on scene when we got there, as well as neighbors, canvassing the neighborhood for any camera footage or anything of that, sir.
Did you find any camera, any surveillance? This was in 2018. I remember when I started here in 86, surveillance video. People didn't have Ring doorbells and stuff like that. Did you get any good evidence?
We didn't get anything good from that, sir. We were hoping to get maybe a vehicle leaving the street or anything like that, but we didn't come up with anything.
I want to take you back to the roommate. What's going on with the roommate? Is he a suspect at any time?
He's not a suspect, sir. He was actually close friends with Mason. They'd been living together for quite some time. That gentleman's name was Tyler, and he was actually the one that flagged down the original deputy that was responding to the house, and then actually brought them inside the residence.
Okay, when you go inside the residence, what do you see? What's going on there? What is probably the biggest key piece of evidence you see?
Clearly, the shooting occurred there inside the residence, sir. There's bullet holes, there's bullet casings, and things like that. It appears that it was very active investigation scene at that time, sir.
Was there ever an indication right off the bat as to who may have done this?
No, sir. Nothing directly at that time. We did collect, like I said, several pieces of evidence, shell casings and things of that. We worked most of the evening for that. It is apparent that it was not a random act of violence. It was somewhat targeted. Someone knew the residents of the house and came for specific reasons.
Interesting.
Yes, sir.
So what made you think that this was someone familiar? Because my next question was, what do we know about Mason, who was present that night?
So Mason was present along, again, his roommate wasn't home. There was another close friend that was there on scene, a gentleman by the name of Omar that was there. when things began. He has been interviewed several times as well. It appears that most of the neighborhood knew that this was a house that several young gentlemen rented together, had a dog and everything. Everything appeared normal, but it does appear that several people knew that he lived there, and his house was frequented by a lot of friends and family. Yes, sir.
Right. Was there any thought of nefarious activity going on there when you showed up? I mean, and you called back in, and you want to say, have we had previous calls here? Had there been a place you all been called to?
Yes, sir. We had some previous calls to that residence. Yes, sir.
What were the disturbances?
Everything from noise to, something as simple as a barking dog, but we also had some information of possibly something illegal going on at the residence. Yes,
What would that be? Drugs?
possibly drug related. Yes, sir.
Do we believe that this was drug related?
I don't have any direct ties at this time, sir, that I can share any further with that, sir.
And when you arrived at the house, to take us inside the investigation, what was the atmosphere at the house?
It was, like I said, it was a very chaotic scene, as much as the deceased gentleman there, the several pieces of evidence, shell casings around, bullet strikes, different places. It was, there was a great deal of evidence to collect that day, sir. And the fact that there was a gentleman there on scene that said he was there for the start of it, we interviewed
Start
him.
of what?
Of the incident, start of essentially the shooting, sir.
Well, if he was there at the start, I mean, how long did the incident last? I mean, was he there at the end of the incident?
It was very quick, yes, sir. Yeah. Yes, sir.
So at what point did that person who said he was there at the start of the incident, what happened to him?
So he was spoken to several times that night. We've actually conducted several follow-up interviews with him as well, sir. Trying to get further details. At first, some of his interviews, there were some questions. Obviously, it was a traumatic event that occurred. So he had some trouble with some accurate details to start with. But like I said, we've conducted several follow-ups with him. So.
Have we identified his name? I mean,
Yes, sir. His name is Omar.
Okay, so it's
I can't
Omar.
give you this last
That's
name, sir.
Omar. Okay,
Yes, sir.
so Omar. Now, coming up in our next segment, I want to find out more about Omar.
Okay.
He was there at the beginning of the incident. I want to find out what happened to Omar. Was he? I'm going to ask you. Was he there when the gun was fired?
Yes, sir.
And then exactly what did he do after that? And we will have that in our next segment of Inside the Investigation. And welcome back, everyone. We are speaking and continuing our conversation with Lieutenant Donald Mickett. He is with the Sheriff's Office in York, Poquoson. And we are talking about the case of Mason Worthington. Mason Worthington was found dead when detectives arrived in his home. They had been called to the home by the roommate. Now, Lieutenant, I'm going to show you some video, and I want you to tell me what's going on at the scene when you get there.
Those are all actually investigators in one of our vehicles getting crime scene evidence collection stuff out of the vehicle. Of course, the area was quarantined off and crime scened off just to preserve any evidence at that time, sir.
Mm-hmm. And would people standing around?
The neighborhood is quite community oriented, essentially, so they'll come out quite often. Yes, sir. If there's someone, police in the street or anything else, yes, sir, they do come out.
Is this a crime-ridden neighborhood where this happened?
It's not a crime-ridden neighborhood, no, sir. It's a lot of older homes and things of that.
Older residents?
Yes, sir.
So these kids who were renting this house kind of were unusual for the area, yes? No?
I wouldn't say unusual, sir. Like I said, there was several of them that rented as roommates together. It's probably a more affordable neighborhood for York County, sir.
Right. And in the last segment, you had calls at the house,
Yes,
music, noise, that
Yes,
kind
sir.
of stuff. Now, in our last segment, we started talking about someone who was also at the house, and his name is Omar.
Yes, sir.
Now, is Omar there when you get there?
Omar is there, yes, sir. Actually, the first two patrol deputies that arrived on scene actually continued to talk to and kind of detained Omar at that time, not knowing what they had until investigations got
Suspect?
further. Didn't know at that time, sir, if he possibly was a suspect or not.
But the regular roommate, whose name is Tyler.
Tyler, yes,
Okay,
sir.
Tyler is never thought to be a suspect.
He was actually detained and questioned and everything that night as well, sir. They were both.
But you were
because they
convinced
both
Tyler
there.
had nothing to do with it. And as Omar. Now, you said that Omar in our last segment was there at the beginning of the incident, which was very quick.
Yes, sir.
What happened to Omar after the start of the very short incident? Did he run? Did he disappear?
Yes, sir. He kind of, it was, like I said, it was a very traumatic event, the shooting going on and things like that. I think he more hid from the incident at the time. So he doesn't have a lot of great
What was he
details
hiding
as to,
from?
the shooting that occurred, sir. Worried about being hit by stray bullets or anything at that, sir.
Right. Okay. And now the reporter in that Tamara was saying the shot. Let's say at least 2 times. Was it shot more times? You said there were a lot of casings.
There were
around on the
multiple
floor.
shots fired, yes, sir. And unfortunately, Mason was hit several times, yes, sir.
Okay, several times. All right, and then of course bullet holes in the wall
Throughout
and
the
all of
residence,
that.
yes, sir.
Was it
Throughout
a
the
spray?
walls of the residence.
Now, what do investigators believe led to the shooting? The motive for the shooting. Keeping in mind, bunch of guys renting a house.
Yes, sir. It appears that again, not that it was a random act of violence or anything, sir. It appeared to be targeted so much that people knew the residence to come to, their activities, and actually who lived at the residence at that time, sir.
Were there any witnesses, we talked a little bit about surveillance footage of the neighbor?
The
from
only
neighbor.
direct, mostly witness to it would be Omar at this time, sir. And like I said, we've checked for several cameras up and down the street, everything from Ring doorbell cameras to anybody that has security cameras or anything of that. Yes, sir.
Exactly what did Omar have to say?
He was very frightened, very, like I said, very, very much a traumatic event. And when the bullets started flying, he hid for cover. Yes, sir.
But when he was there, go ahead.
Yes, sir. He did bring up that someone had come to the residence. He was somewhat questioning the people that came at that time, sir, and hid as soon as the first shot went off, sir.
Right. And when he had that first shot go off, then he ran away from the house. Did he say he knew the people in the house that did this? He's a witness, at the very least, a witness
Yes, sir.
to what happened that
Leading-
made him run away. So obviously,
up
did
to
he
it, yes, sir.
did he know who was firing the guns?
He did not, no, sir.
Had he ever seen them before?
No, sir.
Had they ever been to the house before?
No, sir.
Did is it possible that the person who was shot, is it possible that he knew who they were?
It is possible that Mason knew the gentleman coming to the house. Yes, sir. There was no kicked in door or anything of that nature that would imply that they weren't known to Mason. Correct.
Now,
Yes, sir.
and you are gathering this information, I assume, from Tyler and from Omar
Yes, sir.
about his possible relationship with these people. Did you go and track down? Were you able to find these people that may have done this to Mason?
We have attempted to. We've conducted several interviews. Anybody that said that they've heard or lived on the street and heard anything or knew Mason before this time. He's had several roommates in the past. We've conducted several interviews about this. Yes, sir.
Okay, in the notes that I was sent, what believed led up to the shooting? That's the central question. During the initial investigation, it became apparent that this was not a random act of violence. Evidence collected at the scene, as well as information obtained through interviews, suggested the incident was a targeted incident due to the offenders being familiar with the occupants of the house.
Yes, sir.
That's at the key of this investigation.
Yes, sir.
What was the relationship that Mason had with them?
So I
That would have led to this. I guess I'm asking a further question about motive. What would have?
I believe that, again, like we talked about, there wasn't any true signs of a forced entry or anything. That it appears that when this whole thing started, that someone was possibly let in. The offenders were let into the residence at that time, sir. So again, that sheds more light to Mason knowing the offenders in this case. Yes, sir.
Right, but there has never been any. You have not been able to find any person who may have been in that house, or have you?
No, sir. Not at this time. Other than, like I said, other than Omar, sir, I've not been able to confirm anybody inside the residence.
Was the crime scene cleaned? Had it been cleaned, or
It had not. It was very no, sir. No, sir. It was very much still an active scene, and and essentially things that we needed to work on several pieces of evidence collection at that time. Yes.
Right. Okay, coming up in our third and final segment, we're going to talk more about any new developments in the investigation, number one. And number two, we want you out there, if you know anything about this, to call the York Pocosin Sheriff's Office. And we're going to give you that number coming up right after this. And welcome back, everyone. We continue our discussion inside the investigation of William Mason Worthington, who was gunned down, killed in his home. We are speaking here with Lieutenant Donald Mickett. And Lieutenant, let me ask you something. Is there where does this investigation stand right now?
Sir, it is still a very much active case. We are still constantly looking for any new leads, any new suspect leads. We're asking for the public to call in if anybody knew anything, either that night. A lot of things sometimes come in years later. We're asking for any new help with that, sir.
This is where you come in. We're going to put up a phone number here. Let's put that up, 757-890-3630.
Yes, sir.
And Lieutenant, what do you want people to do? And where does this number go?
That's the main sheriff's office number. I'm asking for the public to call in if they knew Mason, if they knew anything that happened at the residence that night, or heard a car, or saw anything. It might be the smallest thing that we just don't know that could actually create any new leads or any new follow-ups for the investigation, sir.
Now, where we are right now, we'll show that number coming up in a little bit as well. What are you hoping the public can help with specifically? What are the dots you want the people calling into that number to connect for you?
So there has been several interviews done, several necessarily theories or people that possibly could be involved or anything. Any follow-up, any vehicle description or a vehicle, a license plate, anything like that someone heard or saw or heard from years past. A lot of people talk about things after the fact. They're scared to say things at the beginning when it first happens, when it's an active investigation. But years later, a lot of sometimes facts come forth, and they're very necessary for the investigation. They often shed new light for it. So
What is the evidence that the killers of Mason left in a vehicle? Is there any evidence of that?
there is, yes, sir.
Eyewitness?
Well, Omar brings up
Brown
seeing
car?
headlights and things. Yes, sir. There was a vehicle at the residence. Yes, sir.
How many people were in the house with Mason at the time of the shooting? Other than Omar, who took off running.
What we're being told is approximately 2 to 3 other people, sir.
Is one of the reasons why you think it's targeted is that when Omar left and ran, they didn't chase him and kill him too?
It appears that they all left, not Omar, but it appears that everyone left together, everyone from the residence that came into the residence. So
Shot and then left Omar alone, but
Yes, sir.
Omar has already left and run somewhere else, right?
yes, sir. But the fact that they didn't pursue Omar or anything else of that nature, sir, it's why it seems more like it targeted for that residence. Yes,
Right.
sir.
Now, when you spoke to Omar, did he acknowledge the fact, hey, it must be targeted because they didn't come after me? Did he feel lucky that he was still alive?
Yes, sir. He did. Very much so. He was very shaken up, very emotional about the incident. Yes, sir.
Now, tell me a little bit about Mason. What do we know about Mason?
20-year-old young man trying to find his direction in life, working a couple of odd jobs in and around Williamsburg. Had been in Williamsburg for several years. Omar had been as well. They had known each other since high school, sir.
What about the family? Tell me about the family. Have you had any conversations with them?
I actually speak to Mason's mother. I spoke to her every year at Christmas for several years after that. Again, she deserves closure, sir. Mason deserves closure. So I'd love to be able to call and tell her that we have new active leads and that we've actually gotten somebody in custody for this. Yes,
Now,
sir.
think about this a second, what the lieutenant said. Every Christmas, he calls her because her son was taken from her on December 30th. December 30th. And you call every Christmas.
Yes, sir.
Now, this is, we'll put the number up again. That's heartbreaking. Good
Yes,
for
sir.
you for
Very
giving
tragic
her,
event, sir.
giving her a call.
Yes,
What
sir.
did she say when Call this number if you know anything. Please, come on, let's solve this one. All right. What does she say to you when you call?
I believe she's starting to lose hope a little bit, which is very upsetting. I know it's been several years, but I would love to be able to call her with the great news from this, sir, that we've put somebody in jail for this.
Is she just continues downward? I don't know if you ever recover from it. Has she made any progress? And
She
obviously moving on because
yes, sir.
it
I mean,
happened in
she's moving
2018.
on. She's sounding essentially better each year that I call her and things. But I fear that she's starting to lose a little bit of hope with that, and I hate to see that happen, sir. Like I said, she deserves justice. She deserves closure for her son. Yes.
Was
sir.
she able to help in the investigation as to who?
She
may have
actually,
done
at the
this?
time of the incident, didn't live in the state, sir. So wasn't able to tell us much about his friends or anybody else from the residence. No, sir.
Did she? Does she live in town now?
She does not. No,
She
sir.
does not. Okay. And you keep in touch with her every Christmas?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm going to put up the number one more time. And what's the final word you want to say about this case, Lieutenant?
Again, if the public knows anything, that's a fairly that community seems to know quite a bit. Sometimes they're concerned about sharing things with the police, but I would love anything that they think might be even the smallest event or smallest incident from that night. Again, vehicle description, a noise that they heard, someone talking either that night or actually since then. I would love to get any further leads or follow-ups that we can do, sir.
What is the status of this case? Cold case? Do you call it a cold case?
It is a cold case, but it's not forgotten, is that, sir? We still continue to go through the notes of it. We have recently sent away some new evidence to try and see if we can produce any further leads. Yes, sir.
Was there an event that took place that gave you new eyes to look at this case?
So evidence is constantly changing and updating and things. So we would like to, again, this is not a forgotten case, sir. So it's constantly looked over enough to be able to see if there's any new avenues or leads that we can develop for it, sir.
Okay. Well, listen, Lieutenant, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for having me.
For joining us and being part of this discussion. We have been speaking with Lieutenant Donald Mickett, a patrol lieutenant with the York Pocosin Sheriff's Office. And thank you very much for coming in.
Thank you, sir.
And where does this stack with the other unsolved cases out there?
So we have a few unsolved in York County. I was in investigations for more than 10 years, and we do very well with our investigative leads and our community and things. So I'm just asking if anybody knows anything, I would ask them to reach out, please.
Okay, and the number one more time before we say goodbye. We got about 30 seconds here left. Please take a look at this number. Give the York Pocosin Sheriff's Office a call with any information on the murder of William Mason Worthington. You saw a report that we had done there, Lieutenant Donald Mickett. You all do such a great job out there in York Pocosin.
Thank you, sir. I
Sheriff's
appreciate
Office,
that.
and the sheriff's an old friend of mine.
Yes, sir.
And I do appreciate your coming in and keep us informed.
Thank you,
Let
sir.
us know
We
what's
will.
going on. So
We will. I appreciate it.
thank you. This has been another edition of Inside the Investigation, and we will see you back here again with another case, a cold case. And we'll have that in our next broadcast. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andy Fox, 10 on your side. Thank you for watching.